Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan, and today I want to share a story about how I learned to think quickly and speak fluently in English. Trust me, it wasn't easy at first, but I discovered some powerful techniques that can help anyone. Let's go back to the beginning. When I was learning English, I faced a big problem. I knew many words, but when someone asked me a question, my mind would go blank. I wanted to speak, but I couldn't think of the right words fast enough. For example, one day in class, my teacher asked me, "What's your favorite food?" It was such a simple question, but I froze. I knew the word for my favorite food, pizza, but by the time I remembered it, the teacher had already moved on. I felt embarrassed and frustrated. That's when I decided I needed to change. I didn't just want to know English. I wanted to speak it quickly and fluently, just like a native speaker. Step 1. Practice thinking in English. The first thing I learned was to stop translating. I used to think in my native language and then try to translate my thoughts into English. But that took too much time. So I started practicing thinking directly in English. At first it was hard. My brain wanted to go back to my native language, but I started small. For example, in the morning, I would look around my room and think in English. This is my bed. I need to brush my teeth. The weather looks sunny today. Soon it became a habit. My mind got used to forming sentences in English without translating. Step 2. Use simple words. Another mistake I made was trying to use big, fancy words. That made me even slower because I couldn't remember them. Then my teacher gave me great advice. "Ethan, use simple words. It's better to say something small than to say nothing at all." So instead of trying to say, "The food was incredibly delicious," I would say, "The food was very good." It was shorter, easier, and faster. Over time, as I became more confident, I started adding more advanced words. Step 3. Shadow native speakers. One day, I discovered something amazing. Shadowing. It's like copying someone. I started listening to English podcasts, movies, and videos. Whenever I heard a sentence, I would pause and repeat it immediately, trying to copy the speaker's speed and pronunciation. For example, if someone said, "How's it going?" I would repeat, "How's it going?" at the same speed. At first, I felt silly talking to myself, but this practice trained my brain to respond quickly. It was like exercising my speaking muscles. Step 4. Learn common phrases. I also realized that some phrases are used all the time in conversations. If I could learn these phrases, I wouldn't have to think so much during a conversation. For example, "How are you?" "What do you think?" "That's a good idea." "Can you help me with this?" I practiced these phrases every day, and soon they became automatic. When someone asked me a question, I could answer without hesitating. Step 5. Don't be afraid of mistakes. The most important lesson I learned was not to fear mistakes. I used to feel shy and worried that people would laugh at me. But then I realized something. The more I practiced, the better I became. Mistakes were just a part of learning. I remember one day I was talking to my friend Jake. I said something wrong, and we both laughed. But instead of feeling embarrassed, I asked him, "How do I say it correctly?" He helped me, and I never forgot that phrase again. By the end of this journey, I felt much more confident. My mind didn't freeze anymore. I could think quickly and speak fluently. But this was just the beginning. As I got better at thinking and speaking in English, I wanted to take it to the next level. I didn't just want to speak. I wanted to speak fluently and naturally, like a native speaker. To do that, I discovered some advanced techniques that worked like magic. 1. Train your brain with speed exercises. One day I realized that my brain needed to be faster, so I started doing speed exercises. For example, rapid response questions. I would write simple questions like, "What's your favorite color?" or "What did you eat for breakfast?" and answer them as quickly as possible. 1-minute stories. I challenged myself to talk about a topic for 1 minute without stopping. I didn't worry about being perfect. I just focused on speaking fast. At first, it was hard, but the more I practiced, the faster my brain worked. 2. Think in full sentences. Instead of thinking word by word, I started thinking in full sentences. For example, if I wanted to say, "I need to buy milk," I didn't just think about the words buy or milk. I imagined the entire sentence in my head before speaking. This made my speech smoother and helped me avoid long pauses. 3. Record and listen to yourself. Recording. My voice was a game changer. Every day I would record myself speaking for a few minutes. Sometimes I would describe my day, and other times I would talk about a random topic. Then I listened to the recordings and asked myself, am I speaking clearly? Did I pause too much? Did I use the right words? This helped me spot my mistakes and improve quickly. 4. Use real conversations to practice. The best way to think fast is to talk to real people. So I started having more conversations in English, whether it was chatting with classmates, joining online English groups, or talking to strangers. Every conversation helped me improve. I noticed that when I spoke to someone, my brain worked faster because I couldn't pause to think for too long. Real conversations pushed me to be quick and confident. 5. Learn to improvise. Finally, I learned that fluency isn't about knowing every word, it's about being creative. If I didn't know a word, I used another one. For example, instead of saying restaurant, I could say a place to eat. Instead of disappointed, I could say not happy. This way, I kept the conversation going without getting stuck. Over time, I noticed a huge change. My brain started thinking in English naturally. When someone asked me a question, I could answer without hesitating. And the best part? I stopped worrying about making mistakes. Now, when I speak English, I feel free. I don't need to pause or search for words. They come to me naturally. So if you want to think fast and speak fluent, remember these steps. Train your brain with speed exercises. Think in full sentences. Record and listen to yourself. Have real conversations. Learn to improvise. Most importantly, don't give up. Fluency doesn't happen overnight, but with daily practice, you'll get there. This is the end of my story, but it could be the start of your fluency journey. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. You've got this.